if a program is to do anything useful, it probably needs to interact with its user. Now, basic user interaction in Python is quite simple. There is this input function that opens a little dialog or a command line prompt that asks the user for information and returns that information so that it can be assigned to a variable. Whatever message you put here is displayed to the user in order to instruct the user as to what the program is expecting. So if you've tried this little snippet of code, I'm running this cell now, it will display the message, what's your name? And the user can enter a name as a string of characters. Hitting return just transfers the input to the software, which then prints hello and repeats the name. So Joe, which is what I entered, gets stored into variable name, and that is the value that gets printed afterwards. So it writes hello Joe. Now we can ask, okay, but from a data type point of view, what is name? And let's try to print that. Print the type of variable name. I'll run this code again. You can run a cell by hitting Shift Enter. So let's enter anything again, and let's get the caps right. Okay, you see that the type of name is a string. This does not surprise us, but see what happens if I now enter a number. This is also a string. So the problem or a feature of the input function is that whatever is entered by the user is returned as a string. This means that if we actually want numbers, as in this case, in the case of this example, we explicitly have to convert the strings that are entered by the user to a number. We can do that by writing int in front of it and then brackets, or float. In this case I'm writing float because anyway the ratio between the age and the shoe size, which can also be decimal, you can have half sizes, and this is also in general a decimal number, so it makes sense to work with floats. But the fact is, Python won't do the conversion automatically for you. So if you just write this code in this way, without this conversion to floats, and then you enter numbers, you enter your age, I don't know, just any numbers, you enter 90 and the shoe size is 7, and you see you get an error because the operands for this division sign are string and string, Python tells you, which is not admissible. Now, why are these strings? Because as we have seen, just anything that's returned by the input function, irrespective of what you've typed in, is a string. Therefore, you have to explicitly convert this to a float. And if you do that and you try to run again, it should work without any problems. There we go. We get the age to shoe size ratio computed for us. Now there is one more little gotcha that you should be aware of, and this is specific to Python, to Jupyter notebooks, which is the following. Assume that you're running this bit of code and it starts asking for some information, but then you get distracted and you think, oh, actually, what was this one doing? And you try to run that one. And you see this little asterisk here, but no output is happening here. And you see this little dot here, which is normally empty, and here it's a solid black. That means that the kernel is busy. So what is Python doing here? Still waiting for you to type something inside here. And when you do enter something here, then you see that that has also run. The problem is that if your notebook is large, you may just forget where you had that input instruction open, and you may not be able to recover from this situation. In that case, you click on kernel interrupt, and that will fix it for you, and it will display a little error message here saying that the input operation has been interrupted. But you will recover control of the notebook.